UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. In my opinion, this is the coming great deception. However, when we go up, they come down. When we go up, they show up. Our guest today is the head of Exopolitics Portugal, and you'll be meeting him in just a moment. This is part 2, and I just want to thank Fransisco for his friendship for all the years and everything that he's done to help us spread the word about not only Fatima, but what the whole UFO phenomena is about. We'll get into that, but first, a word from our very trusted sponsor. Here's the hard truth, folks. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That's right. That means a $100,000 savings account today could feel like $50,000 by 2031. And you see it every time you fill up your tank, buy groceries, or pay the bills. Prices are up, your dollar is down. But there's a simple way to protect the value of your savings with something real, something proven. Folks, it's gold, and we invested, and frankly, I'm glad we did. Gold is an asset that holds its value over time. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings with physical gold or silver. No high-pressure sales, no call centers, just honest guidance, one-on-one support, and transparent pricing. And right now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar as a thank you. Head to noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more. Folks, that's noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Don't just protect your wealth, preserve its power. We invested, as I said, I'm glad we did. I believe gold is going to go up. Just a reminder, there's always a risk for any investment like this. However, I've invested in gold, and I'm glad I did. Thanks for watching. Fransisco, thanks again for taking the time out and joining us. This is a little different today, although it's related, because you and I both agree, concur, that the Fatima apparition was, in fact, some sort of a UFO event. It's, and I'll use your words, it's very complex. It's very complex. And it's just not a simplistic answer. And both of us agree that this was not the Mary of the Bible, it was something else. But folks, if you want to check that out, we already did a show on that. About 30 minutes. It's not, I mean, as Fransisco has said, you could spend hours talking about what happened on October 13th in 1917, but I want to switch gears here and talk about what's happening with exopolitics in Portugal. There's a lot of stuff going on in this country as far as, revealing a lot of whistleblowers coming up and saying this is, we've got non-human biologics retrieved from these crashes. And what do you do with a statement like that? So what are your thoughts? Where are we? Where's this going in your opinion?
Thank you for having me, and thank you for your friendship as well. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you and re-engage after this long time that we've been together filming. I may need to make some kind of context, because exopolitics has been a little bit muddied in terms of the term exopolitics is a little bit muddy. The concept is one thing, right? So the concept is, how are we going to deal, what policies will be putting in place when we reach to other civilization, or what are we going to do with the phenomena, for instance, right?
Sure.
How everything, and also how are we going to study it, and can we develop certain not activities, activism in terms of pressing the governments for transparency in terms of releasing documents about the phenomena, and how will society also prepare for a change of paradigm, realizing that we are not the only one. So this is complex. In the United States, there are a few folks that started to use politics to study the policies that extraterrestrials have regarding us. So it's another face of the coin, which is a little bit too speculative. I mean, UAPs and UFOs, it's already very speculative, but then if you try to go to the other side and study us through the other side, it's more speculative. So it's a little bit muddy, but again, we here try to focus more on the hard data,
Right.
the scientific approach, and it makes sense how what's the impact to society from the UFOs, from the possibility that there's others, the NHI, non-human intelligence behind the UFOs. And so from the current situation, it's not new. If you study UFOs since the 40s, you know that everything that is being said today, it's not different from what has been said in the past. Maybe with new terms, not flying discs, flying saucers, not UFOs, now it's UAPs, right? Then back then it was remote viewing or C5, now it's psionics, right? So there's new terms, there's a remodeling of the conversation, but if you go and check the essence, it's the same stuff.
Yeah, it's the same stuff, right?
And so you have new witnesses talking about aspects of the phenomena, but if you go and check the history of ufology, you will find other witnesses speaking about the same thing with different terms, with different words. Right? So, yeah, right now the difference is finally, and since 2017 with the publishing of the New York Times, where Elizondo was an ATIP, etc., you all know that.
Right.
Now, finally, you have universities, you have academics engaging and showing interest, real interest with the phenomena. And also, and especially in the US, you have also finally at least some congressmen and congresswomen and senators asking questions and organizing hearings to hear the witnesses. And so, yes, we are moving finally in some new waters, although it's almost like a refresh of the old stuff. Basically, that's it. And still, I think the big news is you finally have academia asking questions, delving into the subject, putting out papers, and there's been a coordination in terms of how can we establish an academic corpus of study UFOs. So putting aside disclosure, putting aside the any hypothesis of explanation of who UFOs are, but just conceptualizing a corpus of academic approach to the study of UFOs.
And that's sort of the tack that you mentioned Jacques Vallée. That's sort of a tack that Jacques Vallée has taken for decades, a very scientific, very rigorous approach, not speculating, not reading into things, just saying, look at this. And, from my perspective, I kind of do both. In other words, when we're in Roswell, and we're digging out metal from a debris field, which you haven't seen yet, but that's a piece of metal that we got from a debris field in Roswell. We went out to the debris field with metal detectors. This thing was buried 8 inches in the ground. And our film company, my new business partner, Bill Zimmerman, we're the only people that have ever got this on film. Other companies have gone out there, but they've never shown it being actually dug up. We show it being dug up. The metal detector goes off, and then it bleeps like crazy, and then the next thing is it's in my hand. So we put this thing under a scanning electron microscope. And what was interesting about it, we're still doing more research on it. And of course, I want to thank my two colleagues and friends, Chuck Sikowski and Frank Kimbler, for getting us out there. But Francisco, this thing is folded in on itself. And you don't see it till you're down about 300 to 400 magnification. I mean, it's folded in like this little piece of metal about half the size of my pinky nail. You can see that, very small. And yet it's all folded up. And when I asked the metallurgist, I said, what would cause this? And she looked at me and she said, some sort of explosion. And we're not done testing. We want to put an electrical current into the metal to see if it unfolds. But, you know, recently we did a program here. There was a television show, brand new, where these guys come on. They're trying to tell us that Roswell was a weather balloon again. And in our film, where I interview, you just start laughing. We both start laughing because, you know, it's not a weather balloon. And that's why we went out to the debris field. I mean, this something else is going on here. There's no doubt about it. I want to circle back. You know, there's kind of two approaches: the scientific approach, which is what this is. You know, going into a laboratory with scanning electron microscope. That's hard science. But then, you know, for me, I kind of I look at the science and I look at all the data and go, well, you know, what am I really looking at here? My next question to you is, abductions are real. There's no doubt in my mind that they are real. And yet there's so much ambiguity to it because, you know, you can't take a film crew on board the ship and show what's going on. What are your thoughts regarding the so-called abduction phenomena, and what do you think it's about? What's the end game there?
It's real for the people that go through them, right? And that's what John Mack also, this psychiatrist from Harvard,
right,
who when started to delve into the subject, started finding so many reports, so many witnesses, and he realized that it was indeed real. And so many other researchers. So there's plenty of evidence suggesting that something is happening. You have different views to the regarding the goal or what's the motive behind it. You have people like Carla Turner or David Jacobs who have a very dark view from it, like the menace or the threat of possible hybridization of humanity for taking over the planet, for instance. Or you have others who have a more freshly approach in terms of it's all about raising consciousness, human consciousness, to change the paradigm and end all wars, etc. And so, I it's not exactly my field of research, but I find it extremely fascinating, the amount of evidence that exists, the number of the diversity of the experiments or the experiences that people go through, and so it's fascinating. It's something real, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What's the motive? Yeah, we can eventually, if you assume that there may be different beings or entities doing that, you will always find different motives. Americans have a specific view about the world. Portuguese have a different view about the world. The British as well. And even from my friends, we all also have different views about the world.
Right.
And so you have to take in consideration that different entities or beings or whatever may have different approaches and different agendas. And
so let me ask you this. What do you think happens if these guys really just reveal themselves? And not just one disc. There was a Super Bowl commercial if you haven't seen it yet, Francisco, you need to go to YouTube after we're done and Google Hello Down There. It's the 2024 Super Bowl, Hello Down There. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds long. And what it basically, to cut to the chase, it shows mile-wide craft over all the cities of the world. Now, obviously, in 1.5 minutes, you can't go to all the cities in the world, but there's a little diner in New Mexico. The people are being visited. New York City, mile-wide craft over the skyscrapers. Same thing over the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And Japan, flying around, a 10-story office building with people in their cubicles looking out the windows, freaking out. This is the game changer. I mean, if they show up in mass, what do you think's going to happen?
Will they? It never happened in that way, and we suffer a little bit from the influence that we have from Hollywood and the movies, right? It's always a human approach or view or perspective about things. And so maybe these other beings, these other entities have a completely different approach to us, right? First of all. Then you have Fatima, 50 to 70,000 people. The interpretation was, it's divine, right? You have the Phoenix Lights in 97.
Right.
And people were a little bit surprised, maybe frightened, maybe, what's that? Well, you have here Alfina, these round-shaped objects with some legs that was seen for over a 50-minute period,
Right.
over that village, and suddenly the object seemed to go and land in a football field. People were panicking, it's the end of the world, and so then some workers started throwing stones to the object.
Mistake number one.
Way. It's a primitive reaction,
Very much
like the Amazon tribes do when they see an helicopter. It's throwing things. Go away. Right? So we're still in that phase. Monkey approach. And so, yeah, I don't know if indeed that Hollywood approach would happen. I think people would freak out. Maybe eventually the Western world, because we are more accustomed to see movies, and we have this expectation that someday it will happen. The rest of the rest of the world has so many other priorities, namely surviving, right? That or maybe not. Maybe they have also. If you go to Africa and if you go to even to South America, you have all those traditions of the people from above.
The star gods coming down.
Star people. And so maybe they will receive them, welcome, right? So there will be a mix, probably. There will be a mix of fascination.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a mix of panicking. There will be people that don't believe what they are seeing. There may be even people that don't see anything, because you have that also in Fatima.
Which is really weird. Yeah. Very, very strange. You had that also.
You have also those type of reports from the discovery ages when those natives couldn't understand what were those ships from the Europeans coming on the water, and they didn't see it because they could not process the information. It was not there. So they went into denial.
Right.
It's something so strange that I just can't see it.
There was and this is in our Fatima film. No, I don't think it's in the Fatima film, but I interviewed a woman, and I think you know about this. She was in Conyers, Georgia, where another so-called miracle of the sun was going on. So she's shoulder to shoulder with her fiance, wasn't married at that time, shoulder to shoulder with this guy, and they're both looking up at the phenomenon that's happening right in front of them. And there's like thousands of people there witnessing this. There's actually one of the major networks, I forget which one, CBS, NBC, ABC, major network filming all this. And she looks up and sees it, and she sees a religious figure. Her fiance sees a UFO. They're standing right next to each other. They're seeing two totally different things, to your point. Unbelievable. And how is that even possible? How is that even possible?
Our psychic filters.
Yeah, that's what they are.
To our beliefs.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Let me ask you something. Have you had a chance to read Luis Elizondo's book, Eminence?
Yes, I have it. I have it here on the shelf.
Yeah, and I've read it also. I found it very interesting. I've been trying to get him on my show, and we keep trading emails. I know he's super busy, but I thought it was a well-written, good book, and he's risking a lot by coming out with all this stuff as a whistleblower. Your thoughts?
Yeah, indeed. I had the privilege to meet him in San Marino back in 2021 when we were presenting our Project Titan. I'm one of the founders and board of directors of the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research. And we launched the project to engage the UN, the United Nations, to approach the UFO phenomena. This is something not new. This is something that happened back in 1978 with Sir Eric Carey, the Prime Minister of Grenada, that tried to engage with the UN and the creation of an agency inside the UN to study UFOs. Right now, we wanted something a little bit different, but similar and different in the details are a little bit different, but it's about creating like similar to, you have the climate forum, the economic forum, you would have a UAP forum that would be how can I say would be not controlled by, but under the umbrella of the UN.
Okay, that's the first step.
And exactly, and we try to present that we needed the backup or the support from a country, and San Marino is a small country. It's neutral, independent, and has a history of supporting also UFO research. It has launched stamps, like a collection of stamps, national collection of stamps with UFOs, for instance, and it has some history, and it supports the UFO symposium that happens since the 1960s every year. So long history, and so Elizondo was there to support us, and I met him. We talked in person. So yeah, I mean, some people doubt about his functions in the ATIP. Some people doubt that maybe because of his involvement with counterintelligence, he's playing a double role here. I don't know. I spoke with him for a period of time, but I cannot. I live in Portugal. I don't live in the States. No, I don't know. I found him really nice, very open.
Yeah. So
I mean, we cannot deny that his exposure, his coming out, did make a difference, right? Did make a difference. Although I think it is a refresh. It's like a new set. In terms of approach to the UFO, but although it's the same message with a different how can I say, a cover, maybe.
Well, what I do find interesting is that, all these whistleblowers that have come out in Congress, and so it's no longer what, Fransisco or L.A. Marzulli says about the phenomena. I mean, you've got, leaders in government, people, whistleblowers coming out. I think one of the most startling testimonies, and I actually alluded to this already, was, David Grush in front of our Congress with Nancy Mace, Representative Nancy Mace from South Carolina, and she asked him, do we have crash craft? And he says, yeah, I've already talked about that. And then she comes up with the follow-up question, well, do we have the pilots, the bodies from these crash craft? And he looks right at her and says, yes, we have biologics. That's his first answer. Then she presses in, well, were they human or non-human biologics? And, I'm watching the clip like this going, and I'm watching this guy's body language. He's a straight shooter, man. He's whatever he's telling the truth as he knows it. There's no doubt about it. There's no fabrication, no funny business. He looks right up at her and says, yes, we retrieve non-human biologics. That is one of the most, you and I have known about this because we're researchers and we've read all the literature from the 40s, 50s. We know about this. They had bodies from Roswell. We know because Walter G. Hott talks about that. The pilots, the witnesses, we have too many. I get that. There's just the whole chain of, and all these people are crazy.
Sorry for interrupting. No, not just the U.S. You have all over the place. You have in Brazil, Virginia, for
Brazil, right? Exactly. Yeah, same thing. Tariff lower the way.
Yeah, and so it's new information to the lawmakers, but not new information, not for the researchers.
No, not at all.
And yeah, it's surprising information for the general public that may ask, why did this happen, and why didn't I know about it sooner?
Right. Wow. We could go on for hours. I'm going to give you the last word. I like to try to keep, the interviews about a half an hour, 25 minutes to a half an hour. And Fransisco, I'll give you the last word. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Now, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here, to see you again. It's always a pleasure. We are hoping for new hearings in the U.S. We hope to motivate in the future hearings here in Europe. Last year we did have, through the work of Portuguese European Parliament member. He was a deputy from a small party here in Portugal that was elected to the European Parliament, and he started asking questions, and he was able to convene, to organize a small hearing. It didn't, although he tried to promote it across multiple parties, it didn't get the attention from the European members, unfortunately. Only one showed up.
Wow.
To get information. Unfortunate. But there's still a team of researchers and activists that are trying to lobby other groups from the European Parliament to take this discussion seriously, with a new hearing eventually next year. We'll try. We are having next on June 15th. There will be also it's a Zoom call with several European researchers. It's called the European UAP Disclosure Summit. I will be participating with this former European Parliament member, Portuguese, also named Fransisco Correa, and he's a good friend. And we will be talking about a little bit about disclosure, what can be done, etc. So, again, the openness of academics, scholars, universities to start debating this. You have the University of Würzburg, you have even the university in Sweden, in Norway. So things are walking. We have also Fernando Pessoa here in Porto, Portugal. So yeah, small steps.
But at least there's steps. At least something are steps.
There's steps.
Francisco, thanks so much for coming on the record. Really appreciate it. And folks, how could people get a hold of you if they're interested in?
Well, I am not a social media guy, so if you want to get in touch with me, you can reach out to Marzulli.
Okay, we'll make that work. There you have it, folks. Thanks, Francisco, for coming on, folks. UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away, and it's time to wake up and understand that the phenomena is just continuing on and on and on. We'll see where it leads. Thanks so much for watching. Check out all of our films. We have 10 films on the entire UFO phenomena. There are 2 on Roswell, lamarzulli.com. You can also stream them, streaming.lamarzulli.net. Do your homework. Whoops. Props are dropping all over the place here. Do your homework, folks. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back again with another show tomorrow. Hey, folks, Elliot Marzulli here with a very special announcement. We've got a real hot summer sale for you. We've lowered the prices on all of this. This is the lowest price we've ever done. 10 DVDs and the book, Rungs and Disclosure, everything for $49. Are you kidding me? The value is like well over $200. If you were to buy any of these DVDs separately, it'd be a $200 deal. Plus the book at $25, $49. Why are we doing this? Because UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. This is the coming great deception. But when we go up, they come down. When we go up, they show up. It's not going away. Your Congress, our Congress, is talking about it on a weekly basis. David Grush stated on the record, it's one of the rungs in the book, Rungs of Disclosure, that we have non-human biologics in our possession. And those non-human biologics came from where? Crashed craft, right there. Folks, wake up. You got to get cured of your cognitive dissonance, and you need to wake up. The special is going to go on for a couple of days. Grab it while you can. Remember, $49. Great deal. $10 DVD set and Rungs of Disclosure. Lowest price we've ever done. And you know what? We don't have to do this, but we're doing it for you because we need to get the word out, and you need to tell a friend. God bless you. We'll see you soon.